I will continue my lectures in English concerning the new astrology that I'm developing for the next years. And I would like to speak on the question of chronology. Astrologers are not very good in chronology, and their knowledge of chronology is quite vague and incomplete. It is not better than the general knowledge that people have about these questions of chronology. And it's rather rare, in fact, that someone has a proper representation of the important moments, even of the 20th century, and at the level of the world, and not only of his own country. So the problem is that with the new astrology that I propose and have elaborated, the knowledge of the astronomical elements is becoming very marginal. We nearly do not really need ephemeris for our work. We don't need to know where each planet of the solar system is situated at a certain moment. We just need a very simple system of cycles based on a period of 7 years, a succession of periods of 7 years, and only about Saturn. So the huge knowledge that astrologers were supposed to have in the field of astronomy has become obsolete. But on the other hand, they have to know a lot more about general chronology in history and chronology of people in all fields of activity. In France, I don't know exactly what is the situation abroad. In France, there is a very regrettable tendency, actually, to neglect the important moments of the life of a person. Even when it is about a conference, a lecture on this person, they focus on the only knowledge of the birth date, and actually they don't even look at the ephemeris for the other periods, and they also, by the fact, ignore most of the chronological elements of the life of a person. So maybe French astrology is more decadent now than other astrologies in the world. I don't know about that. But this is a criterion which is quite baffling: the indifference of astrologers towards chronological data. At most, they will just erect the chart for a certain time, and they will just observe how the planets connect themselves together at this specific time. So in a certain way they will develop considerably the knowledge of what is in the sky at a certain moment, mixing all the planets, all the signs, all the houses for this specific time, and they do not care about what will happen during the life of the person. Or if they care about that, they will only care about the psychological aspect of these events, but not the chronological aspect. They will remember that certain person has been in such and such job or such and such situation, and they will try to find it in the chart, in the natal chart, but they will not necessarily be interested to know when this person was in this situation. So I hope that it's not like that in the rest of the world, or not everywhere at least, but I'm not sure about that. It would be interesting to check. So the knowledge, what we have to learn to teach in astrological schools in the next decades is quite different, according to me, from what has been delivered in the past. I believe that we do not have to convey and carry so much about mythology, for instance. Unless we want to develop knowledge of history of astrology, which is a topic in itself, which is not necessarily what a practical astrologer has to know. So there's a lot to say about the history of astrology, but this is not for the technicians who just have to apply the system. So mythology has not to be so much important. The interpretation of the charts, neither, of course. I really think that it's of a very important interest to know how to interpret a chart. As I said, the chart is a mixture of many things which are combined, sort of soup, which is not very exciting for me, and which allows the astrologer to know only of a certain time and to gather all sorts of information with that time and connect it with the chart. That's all. I want to add, before I conclude this little chat, that chronology has also to include many events which are not necessarily important a posteriori, you see. There are many attempts which fail, but there are still attempts which are recorded and which are significant. We cannot just eliminate all events which have not been totally conclusive, not at all. It's necessary to integrate in our chronology many things which are just expressions of attempts, of temptations, of things which have aborted sometimes, but which have existed. Astrology, from the point of view which is mine, has to gather an enormous amount of chronological elements. Enormous. And it's not enough just to collect a few elements, not at all. And we really need to deliver to astrologers, to future astrologers, a method in order to gather chronological data.